They say that there's nothing more dangerous than curiosity, and that's certainly true for this next urban explorer, who set out to uncover the secrets of an abandoned church hidden away in the desolate English moors. But when he stepped foot inside the crumbling building, he had no idea that he was about to awaken something sinister. But as he got closer, he couldn't shake off the feeling that he was being watched. Strange footprints could be seen imprinted into the dew-covered grass, large, clawed marks that shouldn't have been there. Of course, he could have turned back then. The locals had warned him not to go any further. There was no rope attached to the tower, and nobody was in sight. So who or what had made it ring? Unsure how much longer this place would remain hidden from the world, he decided to explore. But as he stepped inside, the third shock awaited him. But his need to know overpowered his better judgment, and so he pressed on toward the church. It was subtle at first, like the gentle caress of a spider's leg against stone. But then it grew louder, more insistent, until it became a cacophony of whispers echoing around him. With a deep breath, he pulled himself up onto the trap, bracing his hands on either side before hoisting himself up and out of sight. It seemed to be coming from all around him, as if the very walls themselves were alive and writhing with unseen movement. The air grew thick and heavy, making it difficult to breathe. But it was the smell that truly unsettled him, a cloying, sweet stench that brought to mind the scent of decaying flowers and tombstones. He spun around, heart pounding, searching for the source of the noise, but saw nothing save for the shadows deepening in the corners. At first he thought maybe it was just his imagination playing tricks on him. On it rested a single book bound in human skin, its pages filled with indecipherable script. As Daniel approached, he felt an overwhelming sense of dread wash over him, a premonition of something terrible stirring in the darkness beyond the flickering range of his light. All around him, the walls were slick with water, glistening in the dim light filtering through cracks in the ceiling. But the lure of the unknown was too strong to resist. Fear coiled in Daniel's stomach, squeezing the breath from his lungs. And as it touched him, a jolt of energy surged through his body. Memories flooded his mind, fragmented and chaotic, whispers of forgotten rituals and sacrifices made under the cloak of night. The creature echoed, its voice dripping with disdain. Summoning every ounce of strength he possessed, he lunged forward, clawing at the creature's face in a futile attempt to break free. "You are but a fleeting visitor in a realm that has long since passed from mortal ken." As pain seared through his body, Daniel knew he was at his breaking point. With a desperate plea, he forced out the words, "I am sorry. Please, I won't tell anyone you were here." His vision blurred and his breaths came in ragged gasps. A low growl rumbled in its chest, but it seemed to consider Daniel's offer. After a tense moment, the creature finally relented, stepping back from the edge. "You trespass where you do not belong," seeking knowledge that is best left buried. He wanted to run, to tear himself away from the creature and seek the safety of the sunlit world. But his legs felt heavy as lead, anchoring him to the spot. Suddenly, the shadows in the corner seemed to writhe and twist, taking on forms of their own. Gasping for breath, he struggled to his feet, his limbs aching and his mind reeling from the encounter. And in a voice that dripped with malice, it hissed, "Your hubris has brought you to this. Your insatiable curiosity will be your undoing." Puzzled by its presence, they picked it up and pressed play, only to be met with the haunting sound of a church bell tolling in the distance. And as they listened in confusion, the sound grew louder, drowning out all other sounds until it was the only thing that could be heard. But as it drew closer, he saw that it wasn't a beast, but a man, or rather a manifestation of something inhuman wearing the semblance of human form. His features were obscured by the shadows, but Daniel could sense the malevolence emanating from him. And then a figure emerged, its eyes burning with an otherworldly light. Its eyes boring into his, it opened its mouth, revealing teeth that were long and sharp as shards of glass. And then it spoke, its voice echoing with an ancient power that seemed to shake the very foundations of the crypt. With a deep breath, he reached out and opened the book. But it was what adorned those walls that truly sent a chill down his spine. After all, he was alone. But then he switched on his recorder and held it close to his ear. In the flickering glow of his headlamp, Daniel saw more. Strange symbols and glyphs were scattered throughout, some resembling arcane sigils and others bearing an uncanny resemblance to the markings found on ancient burial grounds. An inexplicable chill ran down his spine as he crossed the threshold, sending goosebumps erupting across his arms. Then the ground beneath his feet began to tremble, the scratching sound intensifying into a cacophony of noise. Scrambling to regain his footing, he found himself in a subterranean chamber, even more foreboding than the last. The air was thick with the stench of decay, and the walls were slick with moisture, the faint glow of his headlamp revealing countless bones and skulls strewn across the floor. The air grew colder, nipping at his skin like ice-cold fingers. It was as if the very air itself grew heavy, laden with the weight of countless untold stories and forgotten tragedies. And that's when he heard it again, the whisper growing louder this time, spilling forth from the shadows like a long dormant spirit awakened. The locals speak of a strange stone church, one that seems to appear out of nowhere and vanish again by the time the sun rises. It was barely visible, camouflaged to blend in with the rest of the stonework. Unable to resist the pull of the unknown, Daniel approached and knelt beside it. Peering into the darkness, he could make out a set of creaking stairs descending into the depths below. With bated breath, he pushed them open and stepped inside. Here, at the end of the dimly lit room, sat an ornate altar crafted from a single slab of black marble. Above it, a stained glass window depicting scenes from the Bible loomed ominously in the gloom. They claim it can only be seen in thick fog or on nights with a full moon, and those foolish enough to venture inside never return. Its bronze bell was positioned directly above him and directly over the door. And now the wind began to pick up, spinning and swirling around him as the clapper of the bell struck against it. Exactly on the stroke of midnight, a loud ring echoed across the barren landscape, a sound that seemed to carry with it the weight of centuries past. So when a British urban explorer known as Daniel decided to investigate, he became the first person in a long time to risk entering the mystery structure. Every footstep echoed as if he were walking on a wooden floor, but the ground was hard stone. At first, he thought maybe his microphone was picking up some loose stones rolling around underneath his boots, but then he stopped walking and listened closely. And sure enough, every step he took was followed by a loud boom that resonated through the still air. It was as if the very earth was reverberating in response to his intrusion. He was determined to capture the truth of the ruins for his latest documentary. As he stepped foot onto the path leading up to the front door, the strangest thing happened. He continued on until he reached the door and pushed it open, and that's when the second surprise awaited him. Directly ahead stood a tall bell tower. Daniel's heart pounded in his chest. He heard a whisper. It spoke in Old Latin, reciting ancient prayers that had been lost to time. He walked to the far wall where two heavy wooden doors stood ajar, each etched with symbols both cryptic and disturbing. It was here in this altar room that Daniel felt the presence of something ancient and malevolent, stirring within the very fabric of the church. As his eyes adjusted to the gloom, he noticed a faint scratching sound coming from somewhere within the room. That's when he noticed a small trapdoor set into the floorboards near the altar. Curiosity warred with common sense, but the allure of what lay hidden beneath the church proved too strong to resist. As he descended the stairs, he realized that the scratching sound had followed him down. Then he saw it. Before him stretched a vast crypt. The air hung heavy with moisture, obscuring the details with a thick layer of fog. Etched into the stone were countless names, each spelled backward as if the inscription had been done in haste, as if whoever was responsible had been interrupted and forced to flee. He continued deeper into the labyrinth of tunnels, each turn revealing more cryptic inscriptions and disturbing illustrations. Suddenly, the ground gave way beneath him, and Daniel plunged into darkness, tumbling head over heels into the gaping abyss. In the center of the room, an altar dominated the space, its surface covered in arcane symbols and glyphs. For a moment, he hesitated, torn between his insatiable curiosity and the gnawing fear in his gut. And that's when everything went wrong. From the depths of the crypt, a low growl echoed out, shaking the very foundations of the tomb. Daniel recoiled in terror as the creature advanced, its movements swift and predatory. In a raspy voice that seemed to scrape against his bones, the creature spoke, uttering words in a language older than time itself. Then the creature took a step closer, reaching out a hand that was gnarled and twisted like the roots of an ancient tree. With a sudden jolt, the memories vanished, and he found himself face to face with the creature once more. "Who are you?" Daniel stammered, his voice barely a whisper in the oppressive silence of the tomb. "Who am I?" Desperation clawed at Daniel. He needed to break free of the creature's hold, to escape the suffocating grasp of the crypt. but the creature was too strong. With a contemptuous snarl, it flung him aside, tossing him to the ground like a rag doll. The creature advanced, its eyes gleaming with a predatory light. Just when he thought all hope was lost, a surge of adrenaline coursed through him, lending him a momentary strength. The creature paused, its eyes narrowing as if weighing his words. With a final warning to never return, it melted back into the shadows, leaving Daniel trembling in the dim glow of his headlamp. As the realization of his folly washed over him, he fled the crypt, stumbling blindly through the darkness, desperate to escape the suffocating grip of the tomb. Several days later, a hiker stumbled upon Daniel's camera lying abandoned on the moor, and so it remains to this day, forever trapped in a loop of sorrowful song.